All right, good morning, everybody, and here we are with turn number 6. Uh, Whether or not I'm confused about the nature of time, it is turn number 6. We're Tian Chi, let's get into it and see what we're doing. My path to ascension begins here, God of Tian Chi. Another explanation of Homestuck. Pester Chum, a means of communicating with friends in Homestuck, is introduced. John's friends are seen in his friends list: Turn Tech Godhead, Tentacle Therapist, and Garden Gnostic. Research and Conjuration is completed. So we have level 2 Conjuration. And we see somebody else's battle. There is a Yomi somewhere. Alright, let's watch this. Yomi is a nation of Japanese demons. Oh no, wait, I'm wrong. We're in Middle Ages. It's Shinuyama, the nation of Japanese goblins. Here we see them trying to expand, it looks like, with just basic goblin spearmen. These guys are not very good. They're undisciplined, they're small, they don't have a lot of hit points or strength. They do have spears, and this does look like a fair number of them. 3, 6, 9. Alright, so call it like 27, 30 against quite a few of these guys. I'm not sure this is going to work. Alright, we'll turn on colored squares so it's easier to keep track of what's going on. And here we go. His prophet is here. That means we can see if he has a bless. He does. He has an awake god because it's before dormant gods have woken up, and Reanimator is an incarnate bless. He has morale, poison resistance, Reanimator, inspirational, and leadership. That's very strange. As Shinuyama, I think you want to take the unaging bless so that your old goblin shaman wizards are not as old and can fight and cast spells better. But, well, we'll see how this goes. The leadership is probably good because goblins are cowardly, but I still don't think this is going to win. Unless there were sacreds in here I didn't notice. Yeah, there must be. Here's a zombie they made. But even so, both armies routed. He might end up owning the province because this zombie is going to stick around the longest. We'll see. Who will rout slowest and end up in charge of the province? I think that's how it works. It's possible no one could end up also. Okay. Turbo speed. Oh, the shaman didn't rout. Okay, so there's now a shaman in sole possession of a province somewhere. We'll go see where that is in a second. Let's watch our battle. Hopefully this won't go badly. Here's what we're expanding into. Yeah, this looks like it should work like a charm. Let's see. Yeah, no problem. Easy. We did lose 5 of our cheap horsemen, though, which is why we should be buying the more expensive horsemen. They last longer. Alright, where was that battle? Okay, so Shinuyama is up here. With the way it looks like their expansion is going, and the bless they have, we probably don't have to worry too much about them rushing us right now, which is good. And if they do try to rush us, we will just kill all their stuff with short bows, I imagine. So that's weight off my back. Also, this is a starting province. It's like, it looks kind of distinct. Our starting province looks a little bit less distinct, but is kind of distinct. So if we look around, are there any other provinces? Maybe this one, this little round one here might be a starting province. Ours is somewhat rounded, so perhaps rounded ones like that are starting provinces, in which case there may not be, well, there may not be another land nation super near to us. The other land, there could only be 3 land nations on this planet, and the other one could be all the way over here. in which case we're playing correctly. If there is another land nation that's like here, for example, or here, this is actually, there's a possibility this could be a starting spot. Um, but if there was another land nation very close to us, and they were a nation with powerful sacreds, like just for an example, Vanheim. Let's see, where's Vanheim? Here we go. We can see all their units by clicking on them in this menu. They have powerful sacred wizards who are Van Jarls, and they're descendants of the Aesir, and more specifically, actually, sorry, of the Vanir. Most all the Aesir are dead by this point in the timeline, I think, but they are very good at fighting, and they can bless themselves, and they can cast air magic buffs on themselves. So one of these guys can sometimes solo a whole independent province, and they also have a unit version of those guys. So what you usually do is you make like 2 or 3 of these guys, send them with one of usually the cheapest of the sacred leaders, and those can take out an entire province. They have sailing, and they prefer coastal starts, so it is possible that if this is a start location, this could be Vanheim over here, in which case Vanheim can sail across these oceans and start being over here quicker than I would like. We'll see. We'll see who our other neighbors on this planet are, but we found one of them. They are Japanese goblins. Shiniyama is actually a really cool... They're not very good. This game is wildly unbalanced. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I like in general and what I don't like in general about this game this turn. I figure now that we're like 6 turns in, it's definitely time to go over the basics that should have been in episode 1. Let's see, where is Shiniyama? Here they are. So they're called Safely Invested in Circo. I didn't check their prophet's name. I guess we saw their prophet, so we should just take a glance real quick. Also, were there some sacred? No. Sacred Bakemono are bigger. We would be able to pick them out. Alright, so here's a little profited Bakemono chieftain. He didn't rename his prophet either. That's good. It means we won't have any moral disadvantage in the eventual and inevitable war between our cultivators and these goblins. So, balance. This game is kind of wildly unbalanced, and a lot of it is about figuring out what the good options are and picking the good options over the bad options. There's a lot of good and bad options in character creation before the game starts. There's good and bad options in research. There's good and bad options in troops. There's good and bad options in ways to expand and ways to script your troops. One of the things I'm looking forward to in this Let's Play is that other people who know the game really well are watching it and are basically making fun of me for things that I do that aren't good enough. So I'll pass on some of that wisdom to you if I get any really good pointers. So far, I think I'm doing okay, although I haven't been perfect and my luck hasn't been perfect either, but that's okay. I like to play a little bit risky and a little bit greedy and try to snowball. Some other players try to play a little bit more safely and always be prepared for what their enemy is doing. That's a lot deeper knowledge than I really feel like I have of this game. I can come up with counters to stuff, but I have to see it first usually. So I like to try to be ahead so that then I can lose a little bit of territory and while I'm thinking about something and then counter it. So what I like about this game, basically everything can be countered. There's some way to use spells or armies or wizards or summons or diplomacy or underhanded tactics or magical items to overcome nearly anything that your opponents can do. And I think that's probably even more true in Dominions 5 than it was in Dominions 4, because of some of the things that were overpowered have been changed in ways that they are differently overpowered. That's really vague. By late game, I'll have probably talked about all the stuff that I think is interesting and different. Sacred rushes are more powerful in Dominions 5, which is part of why I'm worried about being sacred rushed when I'm playing a nation that doesn't rely on its sacreds. But what I really like about this game is, one, there's so much stuff in it. There are all of these different nations. There are all of these different spells. There are thousands, literally, of different units. And they're all interesting and they do unique things, and there's a lot of asymmetry. Some nations can send people to sneak into your house and seduce your units. Some nations can cause your mage's brains to explode from the other side of the universe. Some nations, like our underwater neighbors here, have incredibly powerful, unique Pretender God chassis that must be dormant for the first 12 turns of the game. But when they wake up, they are a series of spheres from outside of our universe whose appearance is inspired by Yog Sothoth from H.P. Lovecraft stories. They can teleport anywhere on the map and really fuck dudes up for pretty much ever. Um, it has an ability called, well, we'll get into that if we ever see it. I could talk for probably an hour about any given detail of this game, and I'm just trying to break that up into small bites as we keep going. Um, there's a lot of stuff wrong with this game. I don't think you can make a game about all the mythologies in the world punching the hell out of each other without it being at least a little bit problematic, but you could definitely make a game that had less worrying elements than this one does. I'm not really going to highlight those too hard, but it's not a perfect game. I do love it, but if someone made a better game that did the things that this game did, that it does well, I would play that game too, and possibly switch to that game, although I have thousands of hours by this point of convincing myself that this game is great and that I should keep playing it. What I think this game does best is that it is an incredibly deep, interesting, surprising, unpredictable, difficult to master, but there's a constant sense of progression in your understanding of it. Um, Strategy game that can be played multiplayer against other people, against your friends, against your enemies, against random people you know from the internet because you're far too enthusiastic about this game. And for me, it really hits a sweet spot in number of decisions per turn. When you're trying to play a multiplayer strategy game that's turn based, I don't know if any of you've ever tried to play Civilization 4 or Civilization 5 or Civilization. I haven't played Civilization 6, but I imagine it has the same problem. Even with simultaneous turns turned on, it takes a long time for each turn to come around. Like, even if you have four people sitting down and all clicking buttons as fast as they can, a not super recommended way of playing Dominions, but a way that people do play Dominions, you can get a blitz of this game done in probably 4 hours, maybe a little less, sometimes substantially more. But if you're sitting around playing something like Civilization 5 or Civilization 6, often you will make a decision and tell your guys what to do, and then you will sit there clicking end turn for somewhere between 3 and 6 turns. And you will sometimes have to give a couple orders to people before you hit end turn again, but you're not making any decisions. Dominions, once you get past the very early game where we are right now, there's enough going on every turn that you have something to think about. Often what I like to do is open my turn as soon as the turn resolves, read all the information, look at where my armies are, think about what my options are, and then save any changes I've made to my turn, close the program, and go about the rest of my day. And then 6 or 8 hours later, after having sort of reflected on it in the background while I'm, doing errands or making breakfast or anything else that I might do, I will come back and I'll have a decision, or I'll have some ideas, and I'll test them out and think about it and see what we can do in the game, because there are a huge number of options, and it's often that there's one best thing to do. But in any game with lots of other people, there's always ways that you can leverage the existence of those other people. There's always ways that you can react differently to things. So it's really fun for me to have lots of little choices to make and to get to contemplate them throughout my day. I don't get that sort of feeling from any other game, really. I don't get it from chess. I don't get it from Go. I don't get it from the Civilization games. Um, I played a little bit of Battle for Wesnoth. I didn't really feel like that was as interesting either. There's just too many things you could try to do in this game. Too many ways to fail, too many ways to have your dreams destroyed. But we are not yet having our dreams destroyed. So, we should take this turn. Oh, hey, there's a site. Okay, so we looked at the battles. We read the message. There was an event. We did not read this event. We're going to start going through turns in a kind of order. I think, okay, let's see. So here is, this is like a mixed good and bad event usually. In Sorcel Swamp, okay, Sloth +3 is really bad for us because we were really counting on the resources from that swamp. Luck and Growth +1, Growth caps at 3, so that doesn't do anything. Luck +1 means it's only Misfortune 2. Tax minus 100% means that we didn't make any money from this province. This province is worth 24. That's not a particularly huge deal, but its resources are important to us. I guess its resources only went to 0. Its sloth or production only went to 0. It didn't get set to 3 sloth, so it still is contributing some resources to our capital. All right. Oh yeah, I did. Okay. These guys are slow to recruit, so next turn we'll have our first one of these. We're playing very greedily here. What I mean by that is that we didn't take our whole cap circle immediately to start increasing our production of armies. We aren't prioritizing mages that will help us fight very much. We're first getting cheap research mages, and now we're getting mages that are going to help us site search initially. We're going to make one of these and then probably one of these. And we've already started a second fort. If this was, say, Vanheim right up here, there's very decent odds that they would have expanded to here at least this turn, and that they would take this province before we were done building the fort, roll in through here, and kill us. There wouldn't be a lot we could do about it. We could resist and make it a pain for them, and maybe try to get someone else to attack them on the other side, but we'd be pretty much doomed, and this would be a stoic resistance let's play instead of a conquering the universe let's play. But we do not appear to exist in that timeline, as is my standard strategy in this game. I have gotten at least a little bit lucky, and hopefully we will continue to get lucky. So this army is still a decent size. We are going to send them in here. What did our archers actually do? They fired a couple arrows in this mixed squad, which is interesting. And then did they charge into melee and die? They did. Okay. Also, these horses got sort of stuck on this squad. That wouldn't be ideal. So for this next one, we're going to set these guys to no orders, which I think might make these archers stand back and continue firing while these guys close to melee. It might not, but I don't usually mix archers into my infantry squads, and I definitely have never done it before in Dominions 5, so I'm not sure how that's going to turn out. Let's see. Over here, we have a tiny, not very impressive force, and this is 30 militias and archers. I'm going to wait one more turn. I'm going to recruit more Deer Tribe archers. I'm going to have this guy search this province for magic sites. There aren't usually many holy sites around, but he's going to waste a turn. We could have him preach to make more candles here, but I'm not super worried about that right now. I will be later, but also later I'll be building temples and priests for that. So we're going to just search for holy sites in case something cool shows up. Holy sites are not the rarest, but they're not the most common either. It's just something to do with a wasted turn, and we're going to have this guy take over building the fort. It'll be 2 more months until it's done. I could make some warriors here, but they're undisciplined, so they'll charge directly forward, and what I'm going to do with this army is have the archers behind these guys, have these guys fairly forward, put this guy somewhere around here, or maybe put the archers like here. And the archers should run forward until they're in arrow range, and then just stand and shoot arrows, which is pretty useful even though they're undisciplined. Whereas not being able to tell my other guys to hold position and wait for the archers to get some hits in before they charge in would be bad. I'm not... So that is my plan for this. I could try to build a temple here, I guess, this turn. But we don't have enough gold for that because we need to make more of an army here. Alright, so why don't we have another commander here? I was so sure I had another commander coming out here. Oh, that's not great. Can you... Yeah. Okay, so we've made a mistake. I wanted there to be another commander here so that this turn he could move down here, and next turn he could take this army and go mess some people up. Let's see. Well... Huh. Map move 14. Map move 12. These shield guys and these spear guys both. Is this some sort of terrain here? No. Is our capital terrain? No. What? Oh, we're in a forest. Okay. Does that mean these guys have forest survival? Yes. So if I just took these guys, could we go back? Yes, if I just take these archers. Okay, so change of plans. We're going to send our prophet back and get another expansion army with him. That's probably good because his spells will mean they take attrition slower. We will... This guy will stay here and keep building the fortress. We're going to leave these spearmen up here. They'll become the nucleus of a new army later, and for now they'll help suppress random events in that province. It's a little wasteful, but we're dealing. Okay, so I have 10 undisciplined archers and 7 horsemen and 4 disciplined archers. Okay, let's get some more good archers. That's 10 more good archers. Let's get, yeah, there we go. Let's get a whole bunch of archers. And then we won't have any melee that's not horsemen, so let's get a few more horsemen too. Or can I get enough little spear guys? 4, 5, 6, 7. How many horsemen do I have? 7? Okay. We'll be able to buff the morale. Okay, so let's do it this way. We're gonna want 9 footmen. We're gonna want a couple of these guys, and then as many more archers as we can get, which is not very many. These guys have better morale than these ones. They do. Alright, morale in a squad is averaged, so it's nice to have a higher morale unit and a lower morale squad. Alright, we can just spy on Shinyama real quick, see how they're doing, see if they're a threat. They may not be, which would be ideal. Our recruitment is set. We know what we're doing. We could keep amassing Deer Tribe archers up here, but they're not great, so we're not going to. These are actually... Alright, so we definitely want commanders to keep happening. Or at least for next turn, we can revisit that. If we had more resources here, these archers are actually pretty decent, so we could be trying to make those. But we're going to go this way here. We want to get more resources for a cap circle so that we can catch up on expansion. We should really have sent We maybe should have sent these guys in here. Well, I guess we couldn't know that this was going to get hit by that event. Anyway, that is turn 6. Hopefully you have a little bit of a better idea about what's going on in the game now, why this game might be fun, and why, despite the fact that the graphics are bad and the gameplay is obtuse is the word I'm going to use. It's not easy to access and understand. I wish this game was more accessible, that it explained itself better. I wish the interface wasn't as arbitrary as it is, like you left click on things to select them unless you right click on things to select them, and you right click on things to see more information sometimes, but you sometimes left click does that too. Anyway, it's definitely idiosyncratic, but I've really enjoyed it a lot. So the biggest improvement that Dominions 5 made over Dominions 4, or that really Dominions 4 made over Dominions 3, is that the games can actually end. In Dominions 3, the way the game ended was that you had to kill everyone else and take all of their stuff. That was the only way. There was a victory points thing, but I don't think anyone used it. So, or when they did, they set it impossibly high. And the way Dominions work is that the longer the game goes, the more complicated every turn gets, and the more work you have to do. Usually we slow down the timer in like year 2 or so, maybe year 3. But in Dominions 3, that process just went on forever until eventually you were spending 2 hours on every turn, and you were still nowhere near winning, and it would never end. In Dominions 4, they added the thrones, so now to win, you claim a certain number of thrones, and you're set. That was nice because it meant the game could end sometimes. You could still end up stalemated for an impossibly long time and run out all the research, and it would be crazy and bad. Once you get to really high-level spells, people can cast things that like turn the whole world worse in various ways, and usually by the end of a long Dominions 3 or 4 game, like 4 of those spells are up, and every province on the map is haunted by extra-dimensional horrors, and people are aging at 6 times speed, and the air is made of poison, and lightning bolts are falling constantly from the sky, and the ground is frozen, and the sea is frozen, and okay, there aren't that many global slots. We'll talk about globals someday, I promise. But Dominions 5 lets you put a timer on the game, and when that timer is hit, extra-dimensional horrors start showing up and devouring unprotected or insufficiently protected. Sufficient protection is very difficult. Thrones. And as they devour them, the threshold of points you need to win the game actually goes down. So stalemates are way less likely to happen. The game will eventually, usually, end. At least in our experience so far. Once we get better at this game, it might be possible to stalemate the horrors better than we have. But usually, you take as many thrones as you can, you defend them as best you can, you wait for the apocalypse, and in the apocalypse, the person who gets luckiest and has the most defended thrones often wins. Usually wins, if we're including luck. Anyway, do we need to... We scripted these guys all right? Yeah, we scripted these guys just fine. And... Alright. Cool. That is turn 6. Thanks for listening. Hope my explanations made any sense. I really hope that Vanheim isn't right down in here somewhere. Oh, I have some intelligence that I should share real quick. People have been talking unprotectedly in the Discord channel for this game, and as a result, let's see, did that work? What the heck? This map is too big. Okay, yeah. As a result, we know that Solaria, which is a nation of survivors of the Roman Empire who have a weird religion that involves creating lots of skeletons and zombies by keeping them under control, unlike the banned nation in this era that is the crazy undead Roman Empire. They're too good, so we got rid of them, or at least they're too annoying to have in games. There's 2 nations we did that with, Pan and Airmore, Anyway, so we know Solaria is here because they talked about it in the channel. We also know that Man, a medieval English nation, is up here on Pancor 5. Right? This is Pancor 5? Yeah. And we know that Abyssia, or Abysia perhaps, because it only has one S, a nation of lava people, is over here in 53. Where is 53? Man, usually this works better. Let me zoom in a little. Oh, here we go. I can see the connections now. So we know where some people are. We don't know where Vanheim is. That's a problem. It's actually pretty likely that Vanheim is over here because I'm looking and the only other coastal start I can see is here. Unless these wind seas count. I guess they're marked with anchors. I wonder if he figured out a way to make it possible to sail across deserts. That would be interesting and terrifying. Anyway, though, hopefully Vanheim is on this planet and their sailing is largely useless, as opposed to them being... I like that you can only fight over the side of the planet you can see on these planets. Like, there's no going around to show up over here. It's just, no, the back sides of these planets are bad. Maybe they're all tide blocked and the far side is frozen. But, yeah, Vanheim is probably down here, which means, well, for right now, they're probably going to try to concentrate on this stuff, but they could, if they wanted to, already be on these wheat islands. I can actually confirm real quick that Vanheim is over there. Let's switch up our research for a second. We're going to go Thaumaturgy. Thaumaturgy level 1 will give us, or will it not? Is it 2? We should have some Astral Window is level 3. Is it Evo? Am I crazy? Astral Projection, Evo 1. Alright, let's grab one level of evocation. It'll slow us down by 1 turn on Conjuration 3, but it'll let us cast a scrying spell. And it should have enough range. Let's see. Astral Projection, range 7 provinces, 2 pearls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We could scry here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nice. We should be able to scry over here and see who started over there. If there's only 3 of us on this planet, that's pretty crazy. So there should probably be another start location, but I don't know what it is. It might be... No, it's a throne. You can't start on a throne. Maybe this one? Well, anyway, we're going to try scrying over here, or maybe both. It's not that expensive in terms of gems. And see what we can figure out about our enemies. There are risks to scrying. If we scry on someone that has astral, our poor mage can get their soul cut out of their body and become feeble-minded for the rest of their life, which is something we won't be able to fix ever because we aren't one of the factions that has the abilities to fix it. Or I guess we can theoretically fix it if we get to Conjuration 8 and summon a Fairy Queen to heal him. But that'll take a while and is expensive and is not in my immediate plans. So it is a risk, but foreknowledge is pretty good in my opinion. And while I could probably finesse them into revealing their locations by chatting them up in the Discord, it feels more honest to do it by long-range scrying. Anyway, that's turn 6. I've talked long enough. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. My path to Ascension begins here, and hope you learned something or at least had fun today. Thanks. Bye.